Okay, so on background, I don't know how far down various rabbit holes you have gone, but if you are a regular viewer of the show, then you are very familiar with the name Aleister Crowley. If you are not, please, in your spare time, hit Wikipedia, read maybe Hollywood Babylon, Chaos. Look, the short and the thick of it is the elites practice occult sex magic. You just got to accept that that is a circumstance at the top. They've been doing that for a long time. They get together and they have these satanic sex parties where they try to summon various demons. That sounds crazy. I know, but it's real. It's right there in your face if you just look into history a tiny bit. And Aleister Crowley, who was once termed the world's wickedest man, would host these parties all across the world. And he even created his own religion around it. Science of Thelema, black magic. There are so many stories out there regarding Aleister Crowley attempting to summon various demons. In France, he tried to summon Pan, I think in Paris. And many times people would end up in the hospital. But probably the one story that ranks supreme is something that happened in 1923 in Sicily. With one of his acolytes, Aleister Crowley was sort of grooming a young Oxford student to become his magical heir. He saw this young Oxford student and said, "You've got it. You're amazing. Come down to Sicily and let's, try to do some spells together." This was a 23-year-old student. Okay. Aleister Crowley thinks he has the it factor. They go down to Sicily and the kid ends up dead. I'm actually going to bring on my producer, Ashley, to explain to you a little further what happened when they were working on an invisibility charm. Take a listen.
Yeah, so basically, Aleister Crowley was convinced that he was able to make himself invisible, and he was trying to bestow that power upon his little magical heir, Raoul Loveday. This was during one of his infamous ceremonies at his abbey in Sicily. But during the experiment, they both got really sick. Aleister survived. He was fine. But the nurse that was helping them said that Raoul became slowly fainter and fainter until he just completely disappeared. And so Aleister buried him in a quote-unquote empty coffin, like there was absolutely nothing in it. And later, Raoul's wife, who was there, she was present for all of this, she blames Aleister Crowley for this. But just a few years later, in 1929, they came out and said, "Oh no, actually, he just died from inflammation of the intestines, nothing to see here."
So I'll tell you why this is important, why Aleister Crowley is so significant to the things that are happening today, okay? What ended up happening was Mussolini, the evil fascist, kicked him out of the country for being a Satanist. Fortunately for Aleister Crowley, this didn't actually matter because he was friends with the elites all over the world, including, and this is just a historical fact, a woman by the name of Pauline Robinson, who would eventually, after spending time with her friend Aleister Crowley, 8.5 months later, she gives birth to Barbara Bush. Okay. This is just, again, a little over 8.5 months after hanging out with Aleister Crowley. Obviously, you know who Barbara Bush is, the mother of George Bush. Now, this is the source of the rumors that Barbara Bush is actually the child of Aleister Crowley. Now, why am I telling you that? Why am I starting this episode speaking about these occult rituals and the idea that the elites are practicing occult magic? It's because it's important that as we begin to connect dots throughout this series, that you fully digest, as I told you yesterday, that Operation Paperclip was not about rescuing brilliant Jewish scientists who were being persecuted from Germany. It was about rescuing wealthy occult perverts like Sigmund Freud and his boys, referring to them as scientists, saying that they had scientific breakthroughs so they could go on doing perverted things and go on being the elites. The same families have been in power for a very long time. Everything else is just an illusion, okay? I don't know how some people don't recognize that. Just looking around at who they keep trying to tell us is a genius. How is it always the rich people? Do you guys really think that every offensively wealthy kid who makes his butler do his homework grows up and becomes a tech genius? That's just the story that we keep being told. Jack Parsons, unbelievably wealthy kid who created the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. That's the precursor to NASA's Apollo program. Oh, he was such a genius. He was trying to literally summon demons. He was Aleister Crowley's protege. He was doing the exact same thing that Aleister Crowley was doing, throwing elite sex parties, saying we're going to create a moon child, everyone, sex, drugs. Look, Elon Musk seems like a nice guy, but do I believe he's running 17 trillionaire dollar companies at the same time while also having 49 baby mamas? No, I don't accept that. Bill Gates, that one bothers me the most. Oh my God, shocker. He's in the Epstein files. Look at him, people. Look at him. Look at his face. Of course he's in the Epstein files. You really think this guy is just such a genius? He went from computers to pharmaceuticals to poisoning African kids. He's just so genius. Yeah, I'm troubled the most by people who ever bought that man was smart. Poor and middle class people know we can never go on to become geniuses. It doesn't work like that. Now, I want everyone to just wake up from this occult spell of thinking that these people are smarter than you. They are not. Natural geniuses, which do exist, like Charlie Kirk, you have to either play ball with the elites, meaning hand over whatever it is that you have built to fulfill our ends. Let us be in control of the message. What you're doing is big. We want in. Or if you say no, you wind up dead. That's how the world works. And the military is responsible for keeping particular families in power. It's pretty much eugenics at the top and social engineering at the bottom. And we have proven over and over again as a society that we are subject to psychology. Our minds are malleable. They've trained us via marketing to poison ourselves so that we can't have more offspring, aggressive marketing campaigns, propaganda, repeat promises of scientific breakthroughs. Scientific breakthrough. Oh my God, we had no idea it caused cancer. What do you mean she can't get pregnant? We're so shocked. Who, was one of the fathers of transgenderism, who then it turned out notoriously abused children. If you guys don't know who I'm speaking about, as soon as Jerry Franzwey opens the gender clinic at Radford University, or heads up the gender research center at Radford University, she brings over Dr. John Money. This is who Dr. John Money is. Take a listen.
John Money, he's one of the greatest villains in history, and he is the father of gender ideology. And he became that by abusing two twin boys, one of whom had his genitalia basically destroyed in a botched circumcision. Money believed that sexuality was fluid, convinced these parents that he could raise that boy as a girl and it would be fine. Long story short, that didn't work out. That boy was every bit a boy. When he was told what had been done to him, it destroyed him, and he eventually ended up committing suicide. Money was a hero because he told the world that his experiment succeeded, and it wasn't until the young man comes out and tells his story that people realize not only did it not succeed, but he abused those boys horribly. People needed to know where this ideology came from. That this guy who abused these boys made them perform sex acts on each other.
Yeah, just a colleague of Dr. Jerry Franzwey. I am telling you, all of these psychologists are perverted. They are, I'm not saying like every psychologist that you know is perverted, but these people with the power, and that are within close proximity to the elites, any incursion into history, any incursion into what happened and what went wrong into America begins and ends with these scientists, quote unquote scientists, that we rescued from Germany. And a lot of what we know and heard about World War II obviously is a lie, and many things have been covered up. The fact that we still celebrate these people in school, like Sigmund Freud, is your biggest clue that something is wrong. Something is very wrong and rotten at the top.